The film begins with an empty house, which is already inhabited by an entity. We see the house from the entity's perspective. After observing the house, the entity moves upstairs and enters a grave. One day, a family comes to visit the house. When they arrive, the entity descends from the grave. In reality, a woman named Rebecca visits the house with her family. Despite the house being beyond their budget, she decides to buy it because it is very close to her son's school. Rebecca's son is a professional swimmer, and she wants him to compete at the national level. She doesn't want any obstacles in his training. However, Rebecca's husband is unhappy with her decision because he believes their daughter Chloe is not ready for such a big change. Recently, Chloe lost her best friend, and she is still struggling with the trauma, but Rebecca does not seem concerned about her daughter's feelings. As Rebecca and her husband discuss the house, the entity overhears their conversation. Upon realizing that Rebecca is going through emotional distress, the entity starts following her. At one point, Rebecca comes across a mirror that is nearly 100 years old. The house's owner had previously informed her about this antique mirror. Meanwhile, Chloe wanders into a room and gets the eerie feeling that someone is watching her from the closet. She starts feeling anxious. The scene then shifts to the ongoing renovation of the house. Many of the laborers have already quit because they believe the building is haunted. Some say there is a presence in the house, possibly the entity. A few days later, Rebecca and her family officially move into the house. Rebecca is seen talking to someone on the phone, and we learn that she committed fraud within her own company to finance the house. However, she does not feel any guilt, as she believes doing anything for her children's future is justified. Chloe, on the other hand, is seen crying alone in her room before eventually falling asleep. Suddenly, she feels a strange presence near her. She wakes up in shock and cautiously approaches the closet, asking, "Nadia, is that you?" She believes it is the spirit of her deceased friend, but there is no response. The next day, while studying, Chloe spreads her books across the bed before stepping away for a while. In her absence, the spirit enters her room and neatly arranges all her books and belongings. When Chloe returns, she is shocked and screams in fear. She soon realizes that it must be Nadia's spirit helping her. Over time, she stops being afraid of the entity. One night, Chloe's grandfather hears her scream and rushes to her room. When he asks what happened, she lies, saying she just saw a rat. She does not want her grandfather to know that her friend's spirit is in the house. Later, Rebecca and her husband discuss Chloe's mental state. Her husband suggests taking Chloe to a therapist, but Rebecca dismisses the idea, insisting that Chloe just needs time. This frustrates her husband, who reminds her that Chloe is their daughter, just like their son Tyler. The next day, while Chloe is home alone, Tyler's friend Ryan visits the house to meet Tyler. Chloe invites him inside, but Tyler warns him not to enter her room. However, Ryan ignores him and goes in anyway. Chloe and Ryan talk, and she opens up about how lonely she has felt since her friend's death. Ryan listens attentively and admits that he has never lost anyone, so he doesn't understand how it feels. He even asks Chloe to describe what it's like to lose someone. Since Chloe just wanted someone to listen to her pain, she continues sharing her emotions with Ryan. As they grow closer, Ryan confesses that no one in his family cares about him, not even his toxic mother. Just as they are about to get even closer, the entity intervenes. It violently shakes the closet, startling both of them. Ryan assumes it was just a loose door panel, but Chloe knows it was the spirit warning her to stay away from Ryan. Realizing that too many strange things are happening, Chloe finally decides to tell her family about it. During dinner, she asks everyone if they have ever felt an unknown presence in the house. Her brother Tyler mocks her and calls her crazy, suggesting that the trauma of her friend's death has affected her mind. Upset, Chloe starts crying. Her grandfather scolds Tyler for being insensitive. Angry, Tyler storms out of the dining room, and Rebecca follows him. Later, Tyler is forced to apologize to Chloe, but she is still upset and refuses to talk to him. Feeling offended, Tyler complains to their grandfather again. The grandfather explains that Chloe is still grieving and needs understanding, but Tyler seems indifferent. However, the presence, the soul in that place, didn't like what it heard at all. As punishment, it went into Tyler's room and started breaking everything: his trophies, medals, and all his belongings. At first, only one person heard the noises and became alert, but soon everyone else also witnessed what was happening. Everyone was shocked and scared. They got so frightened that they ran out of the house. Chloe then told everyone, "This is no one else but my friend Nadia, who has come to stay with me here. You don't need to be afraid of her." But Tyler and his mom were not willing to go back inside. They had started believing that Chloe was telling the truth. There was really an entity in the house. However, even after Chloe's reassurance, people were hesitant to enter the house. But some stood by Chloe's side and convinced the rest to go back inside. Once they were back home, Ravi's husband called the lady through whom they had bought the house. He asked her, "If there was an entity here, why did you sell us this house?" The woman replied that there was never an entity before, but if they felt something was wrong, she would send her sister-in-law, who was a psychic and specialized in such matters. The next afternoon, the psychic arrived. As soon as she entered, she felt a strong gust of wind on her face and immediately knew that the house was haunted. She started observing small things and then informed everyone, "Yes, there is an entity here, and this entity is suffering just like Chloe is suffering after her friend's death. The spirit is in stress, just like Chloe is." Everyone was shocked because no one had told the psychic about Chloe's emotional state, which opens the fourth dimension for them. Through this, spirits from another world can convey messages which normal people cannot perceive. She revealed that something similar had happened to her. When she went through trauma, the fourth dimension opened up for her, and she chose to keep it open to help others. People then asked the psychic, "Is this spirit really Chloe's friend Nadia?" The psychic replied, "No, I don't know who it is, and even the entity itself does not know its own identity. It has been trapped in the wrong timeline." She noticed an old mirror in the house, touched it, and said, "Old mirrors often act as a medium between spirits and us." She tried writing some questions on the mirror to communicate with the spirit, but suddenly a strange blue light filled the house, and she was struck with a jolt of energy, which made her feel sick. After that, she left. After a few days, the presence stopped disturbing the family. When Chloe started getting close to Ibrahim, the entity did not stop her. In fact, it hid inside the closet to avoid seeing it. One day when Chloe went to take a bath, the entity saw that Ryan was mixing drugs into Chloe's juice. To prevent Chloe from drinking it, the entity shook the table and spilled the juice. However, Chloe didn't think much of it and simply cleaned up. Chloe no longer sensed the entity's presence because it only appeared when she was emotionally vulnerable. However, after befriending Ryan, her mental health improved, and the doorway to the fourth dimension started closing for her. This meant she could no longer see spirits and entities. Later, Chloe and Ryan were talking, and Ryan mentioned, "On Friday, Mom and Dad won't be home, so let's meet then." Meanwhile, the psychic returned to meet Robbie's husband. She revealed that the entity in the house was not connected to the past, but to the future. It had come back in time to prevent something terrible from happening, and it had something to do with the window. However, Robbie's husband could not understand what she meant, and since Robbie had now banned the psychic from coming to their house, he asked her to leave. That night, the presence seemed restless. It wanted to urgently warn Chloe about something. It tried touching Chloe to communicate, but something invisible blocked it. This happened because Chloe had overcome her trauma, which meant that the entity could no longer make its presence known to her. Finally, Friday arrived, and Ryan came to Tyler's house. First, he met Tyler and then went into the kitchen. He took 2 glasses of juice and mixed drugs into both. He handed one to Tyler, who fell asleep within minutes. He then took the other glass and went to Chloe's room. Chloe felt uneasy and asked, "Where is Tyler?" Ryan replied, "Don't worry, I put him to sleep." Chloe immediately realized that Ryan had drugged Tyler. She felt uncomfortable and asked Ryan to leave the room. Ryan tried to force Chloe to drink the drug juice, and the entity watched helplessly. It wanted to stop Chloe from drinking it, but it couldn't touch objects, so it failed to spill the juice this time. Chloe drank it and lost consciousness. That's when the true face of Ibrahim was revealed. He was a psychopath who enjoyed torturing and killing girls. He placed a pin on Chloe's face and slowly suffocated her. Whenever she was about to die, he would release his grip slightly, as he enjoyed watching his victim suffer. This scene revealed that he was the one who had murdered Chloe's friend and another girl before. He was a serial killer. The entity desperately tried to wake Tyler up. However, Tyler was still unconscious due to the drugs. Since it couldn't touch him, it whispered loudly into his ears. Tyler woke up in shock, and upon remembering that Ryan was in the house, he ran upstairs, fearing for his sister's safety. When Tyler entered the room, he saw Ryan trying to kill Chloe. Without thinking, he tackled Ryan and pushed him out of the window. Both of them fell from the window and both died on the spot. In the next scene, we see the family leaving the house, as they could no longer stay in a place where their son had died. The most affected was Ravi, as she had bought this house for her son and loved him dearly. His death broke her completely. When she became mentally weak, her connection with the entity formed. For the first time, she sensed the presence of the entity in the house. She went to the century-old mirror, where she finally saw the entity's reflection. That's when she realized the entity was none other than her own son, Tyler. His soul had come back in time to save Chloe. Upon realizing this, Ravi broke down in tears and told her husband and Chloe, "That entity wasn't just anyone. It was your brother, Tyler. He came back to protect you." Hearing this, both of them started crying. The final scene shows the entity leaving the house. As it stepped outside, it slowly ascended toward the sky. It had fulfilled its purpose and was finally free. And with that, the story ends.